Well, the judges go out to consider their verdict and their thoughts on the three presenters. I'm going to introduce you to Tom Steer, who's a member of staff at Guildhall, and he's involved in running the course that the presenters have been on. I think they're alumni of the course, at least, aren't they? Yeah. So Tom, and we thought we'd do a sort of Ant and Dec type time filler. But the first thing we have really is we have a bit of a tradition where each year we have an update from last year's winner, and that's the one thing that we must do today. And last year's winner unfortunately can't be here, and it's a remarkable lady who runs a program called Real Voices, and she's really was a very impressive business idea, very well executed, and she's produced a video update. So I'm very keen for us to watch it. And here it is.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Becky Chalmers, and I'm the founder of Real Voices, a thriving community of choirs for adults in South London. I'm really sorry that I can't be there in person today, but I hope I can still give you a good update of what we've achieved over the last 12 months. I'll start with a quick recap on who we are and what we do. So we are Real Voices, and we provide evening choirs for adults, giving 260 people in South London a weekly musical and social fix. We launched our first choir in May 2016 with 20 people, and now we run 5 choirs in Battersea, Brixton, Clapham, Tooting and Vauxhall. At Real Voices, we believe that you don't have to have musical experience in order to be musical, and we want everyone to have access to the incredible social, physical and mental benefits that group singing brings. So our choirs are open to absolutely everyone, and we don't run any auditions. We strive to challenge expectations on what a non-auditioned choir can achieve. Rehearsals are really fun, but also quite challenging. We also work towards regular performances in brilliant venues with live professional band, as well as taking part in community events. Community is absolutely at the heart of everything that we do, so we limit the number of singers in our choirs to 50. Whilst London is an incredible place to live, it's also quite easy to feel isolated, and a sense of belonging is a human need. And in a world where we've never been more connected, we're increasingly disconnected from each other. So, in keeping our choirs small, they have developed into much-needed, tight-knit communities that extend far beyond singing together once a week. We've had a fantastic year full of business and personal growth, new opportunities, and consolidating and maintaining what we had already created. Excitingly, we've launched a 5th choir in Clapham, which is in its 2nd term, and it's going from strength to strength. The choir was an instant success and was formed mainly from people who are already on our waiting list, so we only had to spend about £100 on advertising to recruit some tenors and basses. This means we now have over 250 members and a waiting list of almost 200 women. This year has also been an important learning curve for me in terms of recruitment and finding the right musical directors. This time last year, I was running 3 choirs, and I had recently launched a 4th choir in Tooting and hired a musical director, Paul, to lead that. The choir flourished, singer retention was brilliant, and the singers formed a strong bond with Paul. This really confirmed my belief that Real Voices doesn't just work because of me, and that was really exciting. So, in early August, I started the recruitment process to find a new musical director to launch a choir in September. I met with a young graduate called Ellie, who had exactly the right ethos, character, leadership qualities, and musical ability. However, I felt she didn't have quite enough experience or confidence in her own ability. I trusted my gut instinct and postponed the launch of the new choir until January so that I could train Ellie for a term at rehearsals with me. I was able to do this with some of the money that I was awarded last year. Unfortunately, Paul, our Tooting choir musical director, had to move back to Glasgow for family reasons, so instead of starting a new choir for Ellie in January, she had to take over the Tooting choir from Paul. Although I was disappointed at the time, it was actually a really positive thing to have happened, because I needed to learn what happens when a musical director leaves, especially when the choir has formed such a close bond with that person. So January came and Ellie took over. The choir thrived and Ellie thrived. So I can now say with confidence that as long as I find the right musical directors, a choir won't fall apart with a change of musical director. This is obviously really important for me to know as I continue to grow the business. I monitored Ellie for a while as she grew in confidence, I launched a new choir for her in Clapham in February, so she now leads 2 choirs per week for me. Her success, and indeed Paul's success before her, proves that Real Voices works beyond me, which is fundamental as we grow further. Here's a little video of Ellie.
For Real Voices, I run the Tooting and Clapham branch. This choir is the Clapham branch, and we've been running since the end of February, so we're really new, really fresh, and we've had a few socials to help get to know each other a bit. This choir, we do a lot of pop songs, folk songs. It's more taking a different spin on choirs, making it a bit more modern, up to date, a bit more fresh and upbeat.
So moving on to other successes over the last 12 months. Over Christmas, we had 4 concerts that raised over £5,000 for local charities that were chosen by our singers. This contributes to our singers feeling more connected to the communities that they're living within. We were also invited to speak and sing live on BBC Radio London to promote those concerts. Speaking of charities, we've developed a fantastic relationship with Great Ormond Street Hospital Charity, and we've been invited to sing at 3 of their big fundraising events this year, including the London Marathon. We have recently collaborated with an up-and-coming artist called Lots Holloway to record her latest single. I wrote the choir arrangement for her, and we recorded it with about 10 of our singers, as well as recording a music video. She wants to do more with us, which is fantastic, and she'll be joining us at our concerts in July. Here's a quick clip of that video.
You know, we don't have to speak a single sentence. I just hold you when the lights come down. I hold you when the world's caving in. Whenever you need it, whenever I'll be there. So hold you when the lights come down. So hold you when the world's caving in. Whenever you need it, whenever I'll be there. So hold you when the lights come down.
We're really making a name for ourselves in our local boroughs. Our 5 choirs span across Lambeth and Wandsworth. We were invited this year to open the Wandsworth Arts Fringe Festival, and in July we'll be performing at the huge Lambeth Country Show. Last weekend, we had the first Real Voices Festival at the Clapham Common Bandstand. Members from all 5 of our choirs came together for the first time for a fabulous afternoon of music and community. An audience member left a comment on our Facebook page, which I thought would be worth sharing. Such a fantastic community event. What music is all about, to bring people together. I don't want to be too naff, but just what this country needs in this time of turbulence and doom and gloom. More people like you who unite and celebrate folk rather than dividing. So, what are we doing next? Well, July will be a busy month with each of our 5 choirs performing their own gig with a live band. We receive interest for new singers on a daily basis, and this is organic interest via word of mouth, social media, and web searches. People clearly want and need what we are offering, so we aim to continue launching 1 choir every 2nd term over the next 3 years, bringing our total number of choirs to 10. We have a location and specific venue lined up for September, and I interviewed a really exciting candidate this morning, actually, who we're going to see in action next week. If he's not the one, we'll be advertising again in July, which gives us enough time for a September start. I finished my pitch last year by saying that in 2 years from now, I really want to have built a business that works without me and not because of me. I can confidently say that I'm on track to achieving that goal. Thank you so much for trusting in me and in Real Voices, and I hope I've been able to demonstrate the progress that we have made over the last 12 months.
Well, I think that gives a very good flavour of what a remarkable young woman Becky Chalmers is, and what a fabulous project she's running. Really great to hear the update. So I'm just going to fill in a little bit of time now before the judges come back and ask Tom a few questions about this course that they run at the Guildhall, which all of the creative entrepreneurs we've seen here over the years have been on. So Tom, tell us a bit about what the course offers.
Sure. So thanks everybody. You might have seen me earlier as the laptop man. My role here at the school is that I help to coordinate the Creative Entrepreneurs Programme. So as Lopa, my manager, mentioned earlier today, it's been running since 2013. And we run the scheme in partnership with a company called Cause 4. They're a social enterprise themselves, run by Michelle Wright, the CEO, who is actually a graduate of the school. She graduated as a violinist during the 1990s, and after a spell as a freelance musician, she then worked in music administration for a while and then set up this company to help other small companies and charities with their own development. So we set up the programme, well, I say we, I was not here at the time, but when they set up the programme, it was with the view that, you know, members of staff here at the school and also graduates of the school, in a world where the industry that they're entering is kind of changing really quickly and really quite dramatically. We've heard a lot today about how changes to public funding and similar sorts of things are affecting performing artists of all kinds. The school wanted to set up something that would allow its graduates, its staff, to develop their ideas, if they're business ideas or social enterprises, into fully fledged projects. So that's exactly what they did, and the scheme is a one-year programme. See, I've already talked for long enough, which is great. It's a one-year programme where over the course of that year the entrepreneurs get access to kind of advice and support, mentoring about developing their business plan, developing their own pitches. Hope you'll agree that they all pitch very well today, and some of those skills that they work on while they're with us on the scheme. And they look at the long-term sustainability and the future of their projects. Then they have a pitch event which is very similar to the one we've just had, which we actually had last night here in the theatre, where they pitched to a panel of judges for their own prizes. The scheme a couple of years ago was opened up to be accessed not only by Guildhall staff and students, but by anyone from across the performing arts, and something that we're really working on closely in partnership with the Barbican and the City of London, who provide the school, is making sure that we're kind of reaching very far into the performing arts sector, and making sure that, you know, anyone who needs that support and that niche expertise and advice that we have is able to access it.
Fantastic, thank you. And just I've got one more question. How many businesses or groups do you have in a typical year?
Well, it kind of varies year on year. So we had 4 this year, 5 the year before that. But as I mentioned, something we've really been working on this year is kind of, you know, expanding our net a little bit and making sure we're not just kind of using a pool of Guildhall staff and Guildhall graduates. So actually the application deadline for next year was last night. I've got 10 applications, so we'll be reviewing those, taking those to interview, and probably look to have, you know, between 6 and 8 on the scheme next year.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looks like, are we ready to?
We're ready.
Yeah, the white smoke has gone up.
Anna sends apologies. She hasn't disagreed with us and rushed off in a hissy fit. She had another sends apologies.
So shall we invite the...
Yes, please. Could we? Well, first of all, thank you so much, because we really enjoyed hearing your pitches. They were all incredibly strong, and you know, obviously we had to choose one, and we have chosen one. Just to say that, you know, I hope that afterwards, is it possible we can all have a glass of wine upstairs, and can you talk to these people, because not only are we, you know, giving you an award, but there may be other people who've got questions and may be interested in your and have some very, very valuable advice to give you. So it would be a good conversation to have, and probably very useful for you. We felt get-go, it's a brilliant idea. It's really a brilliant idea. We were just a little bit worried whether it's something that you can actually, by the end of July, you can knock it into shape. I think it's a totally terrific idea, and I really believe that, you know, you'll do very, very well if you do the right things. So bravo for that. We very much like your penguin idea and what you're doing, the passion you're bringing to it. Really, really very, very strong. And it's obvious that you're not only you're providing incredibly stimulating growth in work for colleagues, but also fulfilling a very useful niche for neglected kids who otherwise wouldn't have any sort of access to that sort of experience. We felt, Mark, that we particularly liked your idea, the passion with which you did it. We felt that your idea is scalable. It's in a way, it's not going to take huge financial risks from an accounting point of view, but over and above that, it was a really fantastic peg on which to hang, a knowledge of opera for kids, just to get their first foot in the door and to build on what might be a life of loving opera. And we thought the content of the book was absolutely beautiful. So it gave us a very difficult decision. It's a tough one. But on this occasion, we felt, Mark, we're going to give it to you.
Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I do hope you can all join us around in the foyer for a drink and talk to these wonderful people here, share your thoughts with them. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending this session.